Hey guys, and welcome to a new episode, or the first episode of AI Nuggets. And in this episode, we'll be talking everything about the MCP, which is the latest and hottest thing in the AI world. As my guest here, I have Mario, the current CTO of Cameo. Welcome, Mario.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm basically just going to be asking you a bunch of questions about the MCP, trying to learn what it is myself, and you just tell me what you think about it. Recently, you built an MCP server for one of our clients in Kami. So my first question to you is like, what the fuck is this MCP thing in the first place? What is an MCP?
Okay, to make it quite simple, MCP is like a suite of tools you kind of give to the AI, so the AI like use them to handle tasks by itself. So let me give an instance. Remember when we worked with vacuum and all those stuff like that, where we know about like kind of create the function and everything ourselves. So you know that we have to like define it in all those like specific way. We have to guide it on how to use the tools and stuff like that to get.
Yeah.
So the way this MCP is built to use is like we just have a set of tools, like predefined tools already, a lot of them. The AI just knows, okay, I'll use this one to do this, I'll use this one to do this. You get my point?
Yeah.
So we don't have to be strict about telling it which of the tools to use and which of the tool not to use.
Mario, so that's perfect. I think I kind of understand the way you described what an MCP is. What I understand is you basically, instead of defining multiple different tools for an AI agent, you basically just give it one tool and then it has access to multiple tools that way.
Yeah, yes, something like that. Also, it's not exactly also tools like data too.
Okay.
Understand? Okay, now let me give an example. Okay, let's say we have an MCP client. So we want the client to we're building an application. So we want to create demo users, like test users. Not in a normal way. The way I do it now, you have to go to ChatGPT. It gives you some demo, you give it your schema, it gives you some demo data, you now take that data, go to your, depending on the database of choice you're using, or have a something that runs a query that inserts all those users. So now for an MCP, the way it's going to work is going to be quite simple. It already has your collections. You can create a tool that gives your collection, your schema, something like this, a list of all the tools and everything like that. You know my point?
Yeah.
So now you don't have to explicitly tell it which to use. So it just goes, it has those whole sheets of everything like that.
And it's able to create the demo users.
Yes, create all the demo users like that, like, without issue.
Okay, so from my understanding of how APIs work, you can do like a create operation, a read operation, update and delete, like regular code. Can an AI using an MCP server also perform code operation?
Yes, exactly. You can perform code operations.
So recently we built an MCP server for a client, and the MCP servers, basically the AI's job was to use the MCP server to access the entire database and use that as knowledge for the questions that the user might ask, right? And just for context, this database contains things like tickets, policies, users, service providers, and all that stuff.
And all the link between them,
Right, and all the connections between all those records. So, how did we build an MCP server that is actually able to access the entire database?
Okay, so the way I structured this first of all, the database of choice was MongoDB.
Yeah.
So now MongoDB already has their own MCP server and all that. So the issue I was running into when trying to use theirs was I can't try to create an HTTP request with theirs. Maybe I just didn't know how to do it. Because I tried using theirs to create HTTP connection. It wasn't just working. So the way it's built to connect to things like Cursor and Cloud Desktop and stuff like that. Yeah. So but I needed HTTP requests so I can connect it to OpenAI directly, like an agent. So that was the issue we ran into. So the way I built mine was I had to first of all understand how it works. So what I did is I first of all had an API, I first of all had a service that lists all the tools available to the agent, that all the tools on my MCP server.
Okay.
Something called tools list. So it first of all lists all the tools available to it. So from there, it now has all those tools. Those tools have things like MQ schema, based on the way way MCPs are built. Like there's a specific standard and structure which you have to follow. There are properties, schema, and all those things you are meant to pass into it. So it knows which and what to use. Understand?
Yeah.
So the way I build it, I build something for aggregation. So for aggregation on MongoDB, you're going to have an aggregation pipeline, the collection at which you want to run it to, and all those things. So that's just basic of how it is. I made it very simple, so the AI does not have too much power and mess up the database or something like that.
Yeah.
So
if I understand you correctly, you first have a service that lists out all the tools that you've defined in your MCP server.
yeah,
And then you give it a way to aggregate.
so those are those different tools in the database.
Okay.
So there was tool to get the schema of a specific collection it wants to use
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Okay. So all these tools are then listed within the MCP server.
Yeah, like we use them within the
Okay. So the AI, you define these tools, and these tools are the ones that go interact with the database.
Yeah, not exactly. The AI see the one interaction with the database because it chooses the data.
Okay.
It chooses the parameters it wants to pass.
Okay. So basically, the AI can choose the collection it wants to query on.
Thank you.
And then the queries that it exactly wants to run on that collection.
Exactly.
Okay. Alright, so that is how we built this MCP server that AI is using.
Yeah, just one basically, but that's how they
It sounds very basic and high level. Okay. Now, using this approach, some of you that are watching this video might be more technical and that have built MCP servers in the past. So, what are some of the challenges that you face when you're trying to build this MCP server?
Okay, yeah. So first of all, the first challenge, this was my first time using an MCP server. So the first challenge I ran into was getting the AI to pass those parameters. Like, okay, if it was something like, especially the aggregation, it just wasn't getting it. So like passing the pipeline.
So, what is an aggregation? I don't really understand what that word is.
Okay, so in MongoDB, when you want to query, you can use find, search, and all those things. You can find all, find this. Those are very simple queries that you can run, insert menu and stuff like that. But now, when you want to search for something very complex, like listing, you want to join from one collection to another collection, like together. So instead of going on one, like let me say you want to make body list it, perform manipulation, do another thing. So instead of doing it on different API calls, so we just have aggregation pipeline. That's what it's called. So you have that thing, you now pass it to the database. So MongoDB at the end, you just do their magic, perform everything, and just give you exact data you need.
Okay, so that's like there's this database I used in the past called Pocketbase. Okay. So this is basically like a combined query. Like you are pulling data from different tables.
Yes, something and support is a combined query. Yeah.
Okay. So basically the AI is able to perform this kind of aggregation queries.
Yes.
So the challenge you're facing now is you couldn't get that to work.
Yeah, I couldn't get it to pass the specific pipeline it wants to use.
Okay.
So what even happened was, so after we I gave it all, we had all a suite of tools and everything. So it's not the collection it wants to use.
Mm-hmm.
That was fine. So now passing the pipeline, it doesn't pass it. So as its response, it now gives me the pipeline as a suggestion for me to pass it to this.
As a suggestion.
So what was the
passing that
so passing this, okay, this man a suggestion to pass into. Like you get what I'm saying. That was one of the issues. And another kind of crazy issue I ran into was this. So like hallucination. So like now, my schema has something called policy numbers. So the way I defined it was policy _ number, but AI choose to do it its own way. Policy number, like you can your case.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that was what we agreed on. Go to the schema, and so that for that part, and I have to give it defined rules. Like, don't just hallucinate anything. Make sure you confirm the schema. And I didn't even tell you what to use. Just make sure you confirm the schema, so as it just knows, okay, this is the right to call. This is what I mean. This is what I.
And that went into the prompt, right? For the AI.
Yes, just some little instructions. Like
telling it to confirm the schema before making the query.
Thank you.
And that made all the difference.
I just feel like it's just for that one too.
Nice. Yes. Just for context, like which AI model did we use for this?
Okay, yeah, I tried with 4.0 and 4.0.
How did that go?
So with 4.0, I just did a couple tests on the bottom. Now I'm just majorly working on 4.0. So I'm majorly using 4.0 now.
But they both worked, right? They both worked.
Yeah, they both worked.
Okay.
They both worked.
I would like to experiment building this in Gemini as well.
No, Gemini's
like, I don't know if I fly.
Gemini's good.
Yeah. Alright, nice. So we've gone through what an MCP is, how we built it, the challenges we faced. So just to close this out, what would you do differently like internally, I know that we're not done with this MCP server. Like it's still not as functional as
it's not.
Right, so moving into next week, like what are we going to do differently to make this MCP server even better than it is right now? And once we've said that, we're going to a demo of what we actually have right now.
Okay, yeah. So about the way I have been thinking about to make it better. So as of now, I just have one single agent, like handling everything. So what I want to do is try to combine what's it called agency system where I have multiple agents. So that and the entire have one agent doesn't know right only your job just write the pipeline for me. You understand? So then it writes that pipeline, gives it to the other agent puts the collection, now it passes the correct pipeline and stuff like that. So we're just adding more agents to get the work job better. Instead of having just one single agent that does like everything, God of all. So have multiple chunks of agents doing different things. So I feel that it's going to be more secure. Like let me not use the word secure. Like it's going to be safer. Like the errors will be reduced.
Okay.
You get so we'll have more. It's more reliable. That's the best word to use.
Okay.
That'll make it way more reliable to use.
So we'll implement like an agentic system.
Yeah.
So like there's a main agent or a god agent that now manages the other agents.
Yeah, manages the other agents. So they have an agent to write just the pipelines, an agent to do this, an agent to do that. So yeah, I don't even know how this is going to work too, but
we will experiment and find out. Yeah. Let's get into the demo.
So yeah, so this is just a very simple interface. You guys should not mind the interface. We just have to spin off function real quick. So let me ask you a very basic question. How many tickets are in the system? So yeah, it has correctly responded. It said there are 75 tickets in the system. Yeah. So let me ask it. You should give me the last maybe 15 or 20 policies that was created. And okay, then just give me the list. Okay, yeah, so now it's gave me the last 15 policies that were created. So okay, now we also have things like services and stuff like that in the system. So give me any service that has to do with oil, has to do with towing. Let me use towing for and the price. Also with the organization that owns the context of OpenAI just maps out because there's done a lot of stupid queries that were just not needed. So this is an error we're still trying to fix. So this could have been simple if we had done a simple aggregation. Get services that organization ID. Maybe like grab the organization ID to those services. Just kind of limit it to one. Just that gives us our solution. But now if I'm trying to guess what it does, what it did there. So he first of all went to go and list all the services. After listing the services, there are some other thing. Now list the organization. So before he could even get the final answer to output, ran out of content. The content window was full already.
If context is the limitation here, if we try this with Gemini, which has like a 1 million, 2 million tokens context window, wouldn't that solve this problem?
Yeah, that may solve the problem, but that's not solving the underlying.
It's not solving the underlying problem.
Yeah. Because if we're trying to ignore, if we're trying to ignore the fact that it's many ways of speed queries, this is going to be complex, going to be expensive.
Sure.
Not just on OpenAI wise, on token wise,
Token.
on database read and write, on database read write.
Yeah.
That's going to be very expensive. So you getting this so that you kind of don't need. You know my point.
So we need to find a way to optimize it such that the AI doesn't get useless queries.
It doesn't make it makes queries that are needed. Like not easy getting the list of collection. Yeah, do that once and just once is fine. Not that you do it first time, you do it second time. That just is more useful. Because like that, getting the same data again and just like I don't know if a prompt is going to fix that, but I feel it's not a prompt. We're not meant to use prompts because like we want the AI to be free to express itself. Like use what you want in the place, but use it simply. Don't overuse it. Use it for anything.
A prompt issue, a prompt will actually fix it.
Yeah, from
A
like
prompt will actually.
but I'm trying to think that really prompt to exist.
Maybe you don't, maybe you do. An ideal situation will be when you can make an MCP server public and any agents with any prompt can literally come plug into it and use that MCP server. Because that's the entire point of the MCP framework. Yeah, allow agents to access context across the entire internet without having to manually acknowledge.
Like get data they need, data they want, and all that.
All right, perfect. Mario, it's been great speaking with you. We're literally filming the building process. We're in the thick of it. We're in the fire. We're actively filming how it's burning us. All right, perfect. Mario, thanks so much for your time. Yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Ciao.